Dedication. For Mom and Dad. A parent's love is made of deep devotion, sacrifice and pain. It is endless and unselfish and enduring come what may. Chapter 1. Bruce and I sat outside in Ron's garage drinking sangria while Ron and Ken congratulated us on our nuptials. It was still a bit chilly out, but we were all wearing jackets. Bruce, Ron and Ken all puffed on their cigarettes. I was the only non-smoker of the bunch. Bruce and I had gotten married on paper, even though we hadn't officially had a ceremony or said any vows yet. We'd gone ahead and did it so I could be declared independent for financial aid purposes. It would make it easier for me to go back to college without having my financial aid results dependent on my parents' income. I still thought the government's financial aid system was messed up in assuming parents were responsible for their children's education, but whatever. I studied my husband where he stood beside Ron and Ken. He took a long drag on his cigarette, the tip of the cigarette burning bright red as he did so, his cheeks hollowed in the inhalation process. His hair was brushed straight back from his forehead as always, showing off his receding hairline that was reminiscent of a vampire or something. As he blew the smoke from his mouth, his eyes caught mine, and he gave me a wink before turning his attention back to Ron, who was still gushing about how happy he was for us. I took another sip of my sangria, thinking back on our wedding night just a few days ago. We'd not had a traditional wedding, but then again, nothing about our relationship had been traditional so far. We'd met online, and then bucked all conventions by moving in with each other. Bruce was 34 years older than me, which had nearly given my mom and dad strokes when they'd found out. Despite the unconventional nature of our marriage, we'd had a good wedding night, at first. Bruce had been loving and attentive and romantic, until I'd gotten too tipsy and spilled my glass of Mad Dog and wine cooler mixture on the couch. He'd unnecessarily blown up about the possible stain to the old couch, and then when I'd smarted off to him, he'd scared the daylights out of me by throwing a knife repeatedly into the wall. He'd temporarily gone insane, and I'd found myself wondering if I'd married a stranger. After he'd cleaned up my mess though, he had gone back to his usual self, as if none of it had never happened. It had been bizarre, and I'd confronted him about it the next morning when I knew he was sober. Of course he'd blamed his bout on the Mad Dog and wine cooler mixture, just like he had the time he'd accused me of being a whore and wanting my boss, Don. We'd been drinking a mixture of Mad Dog and wine coolers that night too. Bruce had apologized the morning after that first outburst, telling me he'd best stay away from that drink combo since sometimes it could make him kind of crazy. If it truly was.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?